Dynamite Download.
Dynamite Download, your home for all positive coverage on all elite wrestling. Special event, as you can see, SPD about the Cleveland born badass.
To see the height and to see the commitment and to see the pride. We'll see, yours truly, without a signature shade, SPD once again. January recruitment month for them.
You know, I come along in the
Well, you know, actually, I didn't do that. I was thinking of
Dynamite, all three in the flesh.
Have to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download. We're here, everyone. Welcome, everybody. We had to play our Dynamite Download intro, no Rampage Rundown intro, because it's a fresh, new intro for us. As you can see, we added some clips of our interviews with Preston Vance, interviews with the Machine, Brian Cage, obviously our guy QT Marshall, giving us a shout out when we were at All Out Weekend. But welcome. It is Rampage Rundown. It is Friday. You know what that means. We cheers into the weekend. We got Crayfish and SPD holding down the fort.
The OGs, baby.
Right.
Let's get it,
Always
SPD.
Always
Let's
and
get
forever.
it. That's right, son.
Well, cheers that as well. Man, and this was, right off the bat, I got to mention that I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining in the chat. We appreciate the support and spending some time with us. We love chatting with you, and we got a jam-packed show.
It's always better when
been
Pen joins. Thanks
yes.
a lot for joining, Pen. Love you, your commentary and stuff. We got a great,
yeah,
great
Cinnamon
little
Girl. I love
community.
all the comments you've been giving us on YouTube. Very, very thoughtful stuff.
Oh my gosh,
very
better than us sometimes. It's just amazing the in-depth thoughtfulness of the AEW community, and it showed the passion of the fan base. Showed PWI Awards, AEW crushed it. So we're in the moods to cheers. SPD, here's another one. Here's to the AEW team for crushing it on the PWI Awards.
Yes.
If you didn't notice, we got a lot in common with those PWI Awards. So
that's right. If you tune into our end of year award show, you can always go back and watch those clips. But I mean, we're talking. We gave awards to Kenny Omega, obviously the DMD. And the faction of the year. We didn't do a faction of the year, but the feud of the year involved the best faction in the Inner Circle. They should have done best danglies. I'm wearing my dangly tonight.
Would
Is it
have been between
counterintuitive?
you and the Bucks, man.
That's
It
right.
would've
Is it
tough.
counterintuitive
Give them a
to
run
wear
for
a
the money?
baby face shirt and a dangly? Is that allowed? But I'm rocking it.
Bucks might be joining Team Babyface. I heard you guys chatting about what we saw on Dynamite. Obviously Adam Cole. Let's get into it. Adam Cole, dude. When you see Adam Cole strut onto the TV with Britt Baker, go ahead, get it out of your system. Give us a boom.
Ooh, no, I'm gonna give you a.
Go ahead.
Ooh, SPD, baby.
I know you love when we talk Adam Cole.
That's right.
But when Adam Cole struts out onto the screen and he's got Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Britt Baker, the Young Bucks. I mean, this dude, and he's got the #1 ranking next to his name. How much bigger of a deal does it get than that, folks? I mean, it's just unbelievable. This dude's got swagger for days. He's crushing it right now in AEW.
You're right.
And I gotta say, the way AEW's booking Adam Cole, man, going against a stud in the ring like Trent, I knew that you had to eat this match up. The work rate from a guy like Trent was absolute perfection next to Cole, dude.
You're right. I mean, as we're a broken record here at Dynamite Download. Like Trent is the glue to Best Friends, and Best Friends are elevated tenfold Trent when he is back at healthy Trent.
And I like that tenfold Trent. I like that
tenfold Trent. And when we, it's a typical SPD style. The chops that Trent delivered all match. He started off strong with the chops in every corner, and then throughout the match, he delivered at least another 5, 6, 7 more chops than Adam Cole. But I think his offense was so fun tonight. Like very aggressive offense, very just calculated offense. That pile driver on the apron was absolutely brutal. had me
Yup.
cringing. Anytime there's a pile driver, I have a little.
You are
cringe, but it
Mr.
was
Pile
executed.
Drivers. Yeah.
It was executed perfectly. And then that swinging DDT off the top rope as well. I mean, all these high spots. Adam Cole got dropped on his head so many times from Trent this match. And it just was such a great back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the ringside shenanigans didn't have that much into play until the end. And so you could feel the tension back and forth. But then it just is leading us into that intergender match next week, which is great. But this was a banger match to open up the show. Props to Adam Cole. I mean, the guy carries himself so well. He's got the swagger. He's backing it up in the ring. And you can just tell by the way he walks, just that cocky strut, man.
You can tell by the way I use my
Yeah,
walk.
exactly. Sing it, bro. Sing it.
Honest to God, man, Adam Cole, he does,
Baby.
like I said, everything about like, and I know you love it. I know the AEW people, like the fan base loves it. When you start a show off with with the Elite or the Super Click in any kind of combination of these guys that you want to throw out there, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, Young Bucks, any of them, you start the show off with any of those guys, and you know it's going to they're going to always bring the energy. They're always going to the crowd is always going to be eating them up. It's just, they know they're showmen. And Adam Cole he always has been a showman, dude. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
Knowing his body of work, getting into AEW, he's doing what he's always done. No one should ever be surprised. This is a guy who, no matter what company he's been in, by hook or by crook, he finds a way to worm his way up to the top, and he becomes a champion, and he ends up being one of the top stars in the entire promotion. And it shouldn't shock the system for those Undisputed Era fans out there. It shouldn't shock the system. Let's be honest, guys. If you know Adam Cole's history, it's only a matter of time. It's not if, it's when he becomes an AEW World Champion. This is a guy who has a proven track record. So you're gonna sit there and tell me that you wouldn't want to see him have a program against Hangman Adam Page. I'm gonna call you a liar.
Yeah, of course, man.
That kind of program would be fantastic. Now, I'm not rushing past the Lance Archer program for the Hangman Adam Page.
Right.
I
that
am
is a
so
whole thing
geeked
we're
about
excited
that.
for. But if you follow that up with that Hangman Adam Page,
exactly,
and Adam Page gives Danielson his first loss in AEW and Adam Cole Bebe's first loss in AEW, that really shows the investment that AEW has made in Hangman Adam Page, and shows the push that they want for him, because we're talking, Bryan Danielson and Lance Archer, two guys that are clearly top at the top. And, typically in certain title defenses, you kind of have those filler matches, filler defenses, ones that are kind of like, okay, you expect them to just kind of be done, move on with them and so forth. So far, Adam Page's defenses have not been like that at all.
Not like that at all.
They are pay-per-view quality matches on every level so far. So, and when him and Lance go toe-to-toe, that's going to be a pay-per-view quality match for sure. So that would be awesome. A perfect, Bonds has talked about Miro or Mox. Like, if you put those, Miro, Mox, or Cole, like, next in line for Adam Page's title, that is still top-tier talent. Defending, and
absolutely.
I would love that.
Absolutely, dude. Well, let's get into the match itself. When we talk about an opener, I will say, for me, I know you had a chance to talk about Trenton, that back and forth offense that they had. I love the motor that Trent has, dude.
Yeah.
Just the way his matches always kind of feel like this guy can go. He kind of like, he's one of those guys like, Frankie Kazarian. There's certain vets in the game who have a motor that feel like they could test even the youngest guys in the business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Trent he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He came back from the injury looking better than ever. And you're right. I've always, from the get-go with the Best Friends, and they've had some great, Best Friends have had some really great stuff in AEW. When you go back to their feud, I still love that feud, that street fight with Santana Ortiz.
Fantastic.
One of my favorite big match. Honestly, talk about a good street fight. I know we got to see a recent one
Great
with
street fight.
Team 2.0. That one was epic. But I think that Trent brings something, man. It brings a legitimacy to the best friends that they need. You know, Orange Cassidy is that over the top personality.
Mhm.
His in-ring style is hilarious. But I think that he really benefits from having Trent around.
You're right.
I cringed multiple times in this match because you think about the neck, and you said it. There was a lot of targeted offense in the match. Great stuff, dude. But talking about targeted offense, Shawn Spears is one of the best in AEW when it comes to targeting his offense at his opponent's weakness. He talked a lot about it in his post-match promo, which was freaking fire and badass.
You're absolutely right.
Wow. But he talked a lot about that as a 20-year veteran in the business, as a dude who goes at it, and has always kind of had the chip on his shoulder. Some of his offense, dude, he is willing to. I mean, we saw it with the chair shot heard around the world with Cody, and ever since then, Shawn Spears has, as he said, the chairman has that hair trigger. He made an example out of poor Andrew Everett tonight. In our private chat setting up the show, SPD usually types out the whole match card, and he just put Shawn Spears segment because Andrew Everett unfortunately just got absolutely murdered by Shawn Spears, who looks like he's ready to really send a message about his career. With CM Punk as the victim for that, right? I think that Shawn Spears is a veteran in the game. He realizes the platform that he has here, getting a big opportunity, getting a match against CM Punk on a big stage on Dynamite, as the guy who, as he said, kind of does the dirty work, sends the message on behalf of MJF. Man, I can't wait to see what's in store for Wednesday. I think that two vets in the game, Shawn Spears is entering this one with the right mentality, with the right attitude.
You're absolutely right. And, I missed Shawn Spears overall in the ring. He's got a big track record in AEW, but, obviously he's been the associate stooge of MJF, is trying to be his right-hand man right now in the process that's going through. But I love Spears' presentation. His entrance works so well. It's so cool. It's so just methodical, really eerie. And then obviously after the match with that promo, man, the very serious promo.
Let's talk about that promo because it's controversial, man. I mean, that's the thing. Here's the thing. It clearly got hijacked by the crowd. Who, hey, I'm not gonna be mad at the crowd giving us a Wardlow chant. Crayfish, Cleveland born, Cleveland bred.
That was great.
Love hearing the War Dog back to back, my pick for breakout superstar of the year. And I think that this is going to be the year of the War Dog. But awesome stuff to hear the crowd going nuts for Wardlow. Wardlow's facial expressions.
Oh,
SPD, you said it time and again, dude. You said it. Wardlow's really good. Kind of underappreciated with how his facial expressions tell it all. Yep. He doesn't need to say anything. He says it all with his face.
Just looks around at the crowd, smirks,
he's
and
come
raises
on.
those eyebrows. The wheels are turning big time, and he's just ready to just snap Spears in half and then squish MJF like a bug, man. And the crowd is ready for it. They're so on board.
I will say the people who are on the edge about the Shawn Spears promo, I loved it. And I think if you go back and you kind of maybe try to drown out those Wardlow chants and just kind of really focus on no kidding. They were some of the loudest chants of the night. But you really focus in on what Spears was talking about, and I feel like he delivered it with a lot of conviction. And he had the look in his eye. You could just tell he had that look in his eye, like he was ready. So I'm excited about what's in store next week. I think that one could be a sleeper, man.
It could, and I think it should, because I think this is one of the more in-depth stories that is going on right now with the feud. And, not to jump ahead or anything, but next week's card is absolutely insanely stacked. And they just announced the House of Black versus Varsity Blondes as well. So this is we're all on the edge of our seat for Wardlow. And I think ever since the turn of the new year, we've been really, really excited for what's in store. And I think it's going to be kind of like a Hangman style pop when Wardlow finally it turns on MJF as well.
Well said. That's a good way to describe it.
Thank you. One of the best segments, or one of the ones we're looking forward to the most, because everybody loves them, was the Acclaimed diss track Back in Action. These guys always deliver home runs, and we watched them perform live at All Out Weekend. You know, all the diss tracks, and they were just tearing it up, eating it up in the crowd. But this was another home run diss track. Anytime they do it, it's so well shot, it's so well executed. It has so many. You have to rewatch it multiple times because you can miss some of the zingers.
I literally did rewind it. I literally did rewind it and watched it twice. I did.
Yes, it's so good, man. These guys are just so fun to watch. As we talked, Bonds and I talked about on Wednesday. Like they got it all. Walk the walk, talk the talk, and just they carry themselves so well. It's like total package, which is not easy to do. And we know AEW stacked with great tag teams that are total packages, but this is just such a unique team. They stand out always anytime they're on screen.
Yeah, man. They were my pick for breakout star of 2021, and the reason why is just because I feel like this crew has really taken the tag division by storm, and it feels like the tag division would be missing something really special without these guys. They're so creative. They're so funny. The Acclaimed are money. And, I don't know, man. I know, like, our show we're a very small fish in big pond, but, dude, I was calling for these taped diss tracks to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm so maybe it's just me putting it out into the universe, and TK got the vibes. But man, I'm so excited that the diss tracks came back. Even as a Darby fanboy, I was eating it up. They were just ripping into these guys. And you can tell they're having so much fun. That's the best part.
Yeah, how could you not?
You can just tell they're just having a blast, having a good time doing it. And it's kind of they got some. You do, like you said, got to go back a few times and listen to it, because Max is always able to get so many layers and shots and references in. I loved how the Sting buckle bomb reference with Seth Rollins. Just brilliant stuff by Max Caster. And it's awesome to see the Acclaimed getting recognized, dude. They're the number one ranked tag team in the division.
Yeah.
As a heel, I love them. I see what you see, that they could become big stars for Team Babyface one day. No matter what, their charisma is legit, man. Like, these guys are really funny. And they tolerated being around us and were nice to us at All Out Weekend. So
that's right.
It is cool to like see these guys being so successful. And one of the things is it's so hard to be funny, consistently funny. And these guys always deliver, man. I hope that we get way more of these pre-taped diss tracks. They're so good. And I like this style of vignette, dude. How many times have you talked about Darby's promo segments? The pre-taped promos are good. Yeah. Let's use more of those. Why not? I mean, it's AEW's production team is phenomenal. Like that the Wardlow Symphony of Destruction, Symphony of Violence.
They're investing in him, man. They're investing in Wardlow. And same with, like, we talked about tag teams. Like, there are teams that go out there and put on epic, legendary, show-stealing matches. The Acclaimed, they're getting, not only do they get that pre-match promo, they get the in-ring stuff, they get these vignettes, they get these diss tracks, like all this stuff, man. Their overall package is being featured more, and that's helping them stand out amongst a deep tag division, and it's working so well, and everybody loves them. It's true. Everybody
we do, baby. I'm so glad that you're on board. You're advocates for them now, man. I love talking about the Acclaimed with you, because now it's just me and you just talking about how great they are. It used to be me having to try to convince you, and now you're telling me how funny they are, and you're sending me social stuff. Those guys kill it on social media too. Like, amazing at what they do, man. It's so cool to see, the chat, the buzz in the chat about how, the controversial raps that they've had and Max getting punished and all those things. Whenever they're not around, we miss them. And that's a real special thing. There's nobody quite like the Acclaimed.
You're right. I mean, there isn't, and that's what's so special. You have to be unique in a roster so deep. You have to stand out, especially with the creative freedom. You have to stand out, and they stand out more than most people on the roster. Period. As well.
Well said. Well said. And when you talk about a deep roster, the women's division is gaining so much depth that honestly, SPD, you have to be. When you see a match like this where you see like, all right, there's a lot of talent in the ring here that you can get behind. Who stood out the most? I want to put you on the spot because obviously we're going to talk about the match, but I feel like we are usually very positive. I want you to say who stood out the most to you in this match. Who was the gal in this match that really stole the spotlight for you in this one?
All right, let's say it together on 3 because I hope we have the same one. We'll do 3, 2, 1, go. Okay.
All right.
3,
we didn't talk about this before.
I know.
So all right.
It could be different. 3, 2, 1, go.
Penelope Ford.
Hey, there was.
Hey, all right.
Well,
Dynamite Download. We can both now talk about how great Penelope Ford was in this match.
I've had the eye out for Penelope Ford for months before this pairing with Bunny. And, I know we got a couple of our listeners that are big Penelope Ford fan as well. And this was a lot of her big spots were kind of hidden in the picture-in-picture. But if you watch closely, there's really well executed in the ring. She's and Bunny are coming off a fantastic tag team feud, fantastic tag team match, and Penelope Ford had some huge spots in that match when we've talked about plenty of times in the past, when she's in the singles match with someone that is more green or like a fresh face, like she's that in-ring general that can carry the match, and she has carried many
matches.
matches. Ford definitely stood out in this ring. I think she easily, even though we had a former champion, Nyla Rose, sitting in the ring, and Statlander, who we are very high on with her in-ring stuff, Penelope Ford definitely stood out tenfolds in front of everyone. Just her smooth and her execution and her selling. And I know you don't get that much time in a 6.
That was one of the things, SPD, not to interject, but like one of the best things about I felt like Penelope that stood out was her selling. I mean, I know that you and I both cringed when we saw her getting wrenched back. I mean, there are a lot of talented women in this roster now, but I think Penelope Ford has been a real key to the surgence of the belief that this division can really hold up 2 belts. There's no doubt in my mind that Penelope Ford should be a title contender at some point. At some point soon.
Ride that wave.
Why not? I could see her absolutely being a legitimate. And the thing that her and Bunny have going, you thought that pairing would work a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we saw the seeds get planted, and that it started naturally starting to develop, and it feels like those two are just meant to be together now.
Right.
And they're both getting so much better being with each other. It's one of those examples where I feel like something just clicked. Something just clicked between them, and they're both more confident. They both are.
It just happened organically, and it worked so well.
Yeah, and I think it's really, really working for these two, and I think AEW's onto something with them. So much so that I think that there's even conversation of more women's tag like this match. Why not have more women's tag matches? Why not? I know that it feels like there's only a few natural tag teams that you could pair up right now, but with how deep this division's getting, I would love to start seeing more of this kind of stuff happening. That said, you are going to have a lot of matches where you're going to early on have 2 random singles people paired together.
True.
And we saw what could happen when that goes wrong, when Chris Statlander, Layla, and Red Velvet just could not seem to get on the same page. And that's an example of of different single stars trying to come together to make it work. And unlike Penelope and Bunny, they could never get on the same page in this one. And it was their downfall.
We've been seeing it if you've been watching Dark and Elevation and all those other shows, non-televised shows, but the YouTube, that turmoil between Statlander and Layla Hirsch has been going on for a little bit. And, it was odd. They went together and then now they're paired together. And it's just Layla Hirsch essentially leaning into that heel vibes, which you got to love. I'm all for featuring her more as well, because we've always loved what she can do in the ring with her size. And every time we've seen her in the ring in a singles match, it seems like she's improving. She's given us, more move sets, more out of her arsenal. So that's another storyline. Maybe it could come into play down the line this weekend, or if once eventually Statlander and DMD go together head to head, the Layla Hirsch saga can be involved a little bit
absolutely.
as well. Yep. But I feel like, just talking about the women's division, and you're talking about Penelope Ford getting a title shot.
Yeah.
DMD has been for a while leaning towards the babyface. The crowd is over for her.
Don't even.
But no. Hear me out.
All right.
She's already gone through a good amount of the women's division is not deep. It's not it's growing every week. It's growing every month, and it's improving very quickly in a good way. So
it's not deep in the amount of people who are believable world champions. I don't agree. I think it's very deep, but I think there's only probably about 6 believable world champions, which is a good amount. I think if you start to think about that.
Yeah, you're right, and I could
see Statlander. I could see Thunder Rosa. Obviously Jade and Britt. I could see Rio. I could see Deeb. I could see Sheeta.
Yeah,
that's 8. That's that's 7 already.
Right.
I think all those are believable without really stretching. So,
but if you have DMD,
that's a deep division. SPD.
Yeah, you're right. If you want to have DMD stretch out her title run, give her that slow babyface transition, and then start going against those heels.
And it's a natural thing because you can tell AEW's leaning into Britt's popularity. Obviously, being paired with Adam Cole, you talk about it every week. Adam Cole gets such a pop.
Yeah, he's going to stay heel, and so with that pairing, it'd be hard to change her.
But I think Adam Cole gets such a pop everywhere he goes. He's a heel, but he's popular. You know what I mean? And Britt's the same way. So maybe not a true babyface. You don't change what they do, but they can easily dip their toes into being a babyface if given the right opponent.
Right.
And I think that you make a point with if the Bunny and Nyla and Penelope actually kept the group together,
right,
and were on the same page, that could arguably be more violent and dangerous than what Britt's crew is.
True.
Jamie Hayter could get. I mean, she's tough, but Nyla, you could believably see Nyla tossing Hayter around.
Right.
And
agreed.
That the Bunny is willing to bleed just like Britt. That
would be a fun match, Bunny and Britt and Bunny and Ford. So I mean, other than the Statlander intergender, after that, then we talked about potentially the winner of Deeb and Sheeta stepping up next for Britt. What other top baby faces? We're going to exclude Thunder because we know that is the ultimate payoff. What other top baby face do you want to see go against the DMD, within the next couple months?
Everybody's talking Statlander, which I can see that.
It makes sense after the intergender. Then you have a one-on-one. Yes.
My biggest one, with number one, I usually struggle with making decisions. I'm not struggling with this at all. I want to see her against Sheeta.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I really want to see the former champ get a rematch against Britt. And with what I'm seeing with Sheeta and Deeb, that feud, I believe in Sheeta again. I believe that she can be a world champion. I believe that she can hold on to her end of the bargain in a big feud. And that was one of the things I was worried about, was because we've talked about this at times. Britt is so Britt is like so flawless on the mic
Yep.
that it's really hard for a lot of the women to go toe to toe with her in a feud because she's always on. And a lot of these women aren't as seasoned. And when you have a character like Sheeta who already has that language disadvantage, it makes it very difficult for her to counter Britt's punches because
Yeah.
Britt throws a lot of punches on the mic.
Oh yeah.
But after seeing how Sheeta and Deeb are really able to have a feud that I'm not ashamed to say is my favorite feud right now in AEW. Like I really love that
It is
feud.
fantastic.
I love what they're doing. I love the intensity. I love the fire.
Yep,
And it's
you're
really
right.
just continues to build on itself in a way that I'm really invested. So I think that Sheeta is a babyface. I could see her with the warrior spirit, not being afraid of taking on Britt and all of her minions,
Yeah.
not being afraid of them at all, and stepping up to Britt and finally getting her rematch. That's my pick.
You know what I've noticed is that's a great pick, and I totally support that and agree with you. I think that would be
Hydrate.
a fantastic match. We have not had the last 3 champions of Tag, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Sheeta get their rematches. Obviously, Kenny Omega
I'm just
is
saying.
on the shelf for injury.
Right.
Young Bucks, the Lucha Brothers had a title since September, no rematch. So it's almost, I think it's better that way because you have the closing of a feud and then moving on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm
that's
okay
the
with
typical
that.
kind of way, like we get our rematch and all that as well. So, I asked the question in the chat, like, how much longer do you think and want the DMD to hold gold?
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about
Obviously,
how much longer.
we want it to go.
I want to talk about how much longer do you think Ricky Starks is going to hold gold?
All right.
Because
We'll
Jay
talk about that.
Lethal, I'm not entertaining that. I want Britt to. I'm not getting into that. I want Britt to hold the title forever. But I think that Lethal and Starks, this segment was pretty much executed perfectly. Jay Lethal really like coming out to the Macho Man. I love the entrance. His promo was fantastic, dude. Like going after Ricky Starks about caring more about his outfit than wrestling.
And
It hit
Anthony
home
Magnati.
a little bit because we all know that Starks had he really cares about that swagger. He really cares about that, like the whole presentation. And Ricky Starks' facial expressions. I know you're a sucker for a character who can really emote well.
Yep.
Ricky Starks tells a story on his face. When you with the camera on Ricky Starks, that guy just steals the show.
You're absolutely right.
He just is so good. And I love Taz being on commentary, just being being angry and riled up. I love this segment. I want to see Jay Lethal and Ricky Starks have a program together now. That's how good this was.
Please do.
Look at that. Exactly. Look at that face, dude.
He held that
That
face
is
for a while.
fantastic.
He held that face for, I was really excited for the day. Jay, yeah.
Give me your best impression.
You can't tell because I have my glasses on, so it's all in the eyes and the eyebrows. So, but Jay Lethal,
do it at home. You know you want to.
ever since his debut, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like I did not know his in-ring work. I've watched YouTube videos of his promos and his work with Ric Flair and then the Black Machismo. And then ever since he debuted, I was like excited. I'm like, oh man, I want to see this guy. What are they going to do with him? What are they going to do with him? And then all of a sudden it was a surprise coming out to help Dante. And then now he's calling out Ricky Starks and I love it, man. He's coming out in that suit and he did not skip a beat. Lethal was on fire. True veteran versus Ricky Starks. And I think that is outstanding pairing. I know we talked about Factory versus Team Taz, kind of a faction feud, which would be really fantastic. But the way he was calling out Starks for the gold that didn't matter because he wants it more now, even though it doesn't matter. And he had to ask Daddy to think about it. A one-on-one match in a program it's going to be gold, man. It's going to really give purpose to Ricky Starks, and he hasn't really had a direction of a true purpose direction. He's been that wingman to Hobbs. He's been that wingman to Team Taz. doing fantastic work on commentary. But now he's going to get a purpose and a direction versus Jay Lethal and a feud with Jay Lethal, and it's going to be a banger, man. I think these guys are going to pair up physically so well together in the ring, and hopefully this could be a chance for Jay Lethal to dethrone, to finally take that FTW belt off of Team Taz. You know, we saw Cage having it, now Stark's having it. You know, if you take that off, which we've been calling for, to make it a more meaningful belt, not just kind of some, you know, toy piece you're carrying around, I think that could be a step towards doing that.
And if a guy, like, honestly, a sleeper guy to take it would be Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
That guy, I know, like, let's be real, man. I know, for those of you guys out there who listen to the show and you know Jay Lethal's body of work, this is a guy who can be hilarious and have, you know, black machismo and have charisma for days. But when it gets into the ring, this guy can be no nonsense, man.
You're right.
Like, he could be like a legit, like, tough, bad dude in the ring. And that's, I would, you know, you throw that FTW, and again, Jay Lethal is this guy has been world champion. Like, this guy is legitimately not afraid of the big stage. And he could take, like, I agree with what you're saying. You take the belt off the Team Taz, it almost takes some pressure off of Team Taz with that FTW title. It doesn't need to always, it's almost like when I went back and listened to our Brian Cage interview, and it reminded me that the FTW championship really does need a purpose, man. It does need to have some sort of, it needs to have something happen to it, or else it becomes almost a distraction where, like, they have that belt, so they're not a contender for other belts. And that, I think you and I both agree, Ricky Starks could easily be a TNT champion. You got to, of course, like, treat the FTW title like it means something, and maybe it can, like, Lethal called it out. It's not recognized by the company. Maybe if he wins it, it will get recognized. Maybe if the belt changes hands in a match, that's what sparks it being recognized. And then Jay Lethal seems like the type of character, unlike Ricky Starks, who would want to defend it all the time, you know? And that's the spirit of the FTW title, is going back to Taz, was he would take on anybody, anywhere, and he'd kick your ass. And he didn't give a shit if it was a sanctioned match or just a fight. If you wanted a piece of him, he'd beat you. Come get me. Survive if, you know, beat me if you can. Survive if I let you. And that's the spirit of the FTW title. And I think that Lethal could embody that. I mean, honestly, he's not a pretty boy. He's actually more of a tough guy.
Right.
You know? So I like the idea.
Yeah, and I think, you know, not to segue on that, but like Lethal, someone who can carry himself so on the mic, and I'm thinking, okay, what kind of mic battles? An MJF Lethal program down the line, I think would be really, like, when MJF gets gold and Lethal tries to challenge for it
against anybody, is
but I think Lethal is one of those guys that can carry himself well.
He could.
On the mic.
That's a good point.
Feuds. You know, there's a lot of people that could go against MJF. You're right, and so he's got a really great skill set, and that's
I like that. And you're standing up for Team Babyface right now, because as Team Heel, it's easy to say, I'm going to throw MJF out there, and I know he's going to represent and kill it because he's the best heel in the game. But for you to be able to put your neck out there and say, hey, from what I see, I think Jay Lethal could go toe-to-toe with him. That takes there aren't a lot of baby faces who you could say with confidence could hold their own and not get eviscerated by MJF on the mic.
You're right.
You know, and that's a great point by you. And Jay Lethal is not afraid of the moment at all. And it's good that AEW has more guys like him on the roster. Guys who have that tenure and that track record, who can still go at a high level.
Right.
You can walk. They're not like these legends that are big names but can't back it up. Jay Lethal is a guy who's a big name but can still go with the best of them in the business. So best of both worlds with his signing. Yeah,
I agree. And I think it needs to be featured more. I mean, he's was kind of off TV for a bit, but so it's good to see that he's got some purpose direction right now. But as Mark Henry always says, it's time for the main event.
For the main event.
Like we tweeted out like two friends of ours at Dynamite Download. We interviewed both John Silver and Alex Reynolds, both outstanding, fun-loving, cool guys, really down to earth. Alex Reynolds, we could have talked to him for like 3 hours because he was just so easy to talk to, a lot of fun, easygoing. And Silver, man, the guy's full of personality, as we saw in the backstage interview, that backstage promo with the kazoos. And Silver's always just pumping himself up, man. It's just fantastic stuff with that. And the promo aside, this match blew my expectations out of the water. I was like cheering for this one, and so because it was awesome. And you put like I've talked about before, AEW's not afraid to put two babyface teams side to side or toe to toe. And this one worked so well. You didn't need to have a boo. You didn't need to have a true heel. The crowd was over for both teams.
Just let them cheer. Let everybody just cheer.
Yeah, they got the "This is awesome" chant for a reason. Yep. They could have got the "Fight Forever" chant for a reason, because they were just. This wasn't even like a true tag match, because maybe a fourth of the tag match, it was actually like tagging people back in, but then it went all out. It was just a 4-man brawl, as we saw, man. I think, honestly, Silver and Reynolds, I think, own this match. I think they outworked Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. To me, I think they really dominated this match, most of it. And I was most impressed by those guys. I know they're on a big winning streak, and when they're healthy and when they are clicking on all cylinders. I've always loved their combo offense.
I know you have.
I know. The kick to stunner to suplex to pinning combo is always like, you have to rewind it and be like, what just happened? Because it was so smooth, very innovative. And then the biggest markout moment, obviously, was that 4-man suplex from the top rope. Really something I've never seen before, and it was really cool. I know it could have had a better landing, but I was just so impressed with the way it was executed, man. Huge fan of this match. All 4 guys really delivered. Luchasaurus has been and is continuing to be so over. The crowd is starting a new chant where
he's over with you, no doubt about it.
Luchasaurus, and you know it, and I've said it. It's not a secret. If I could be a wrestler and any moveset, it would be Luchasaurus, because he's a big man who has the strength, big man who can kick, big man who can flip. I mean, Brian Cage has got all those attributes too, but Luchasaurus, man, it's awesome stuff, man. Home run main event for Rampage.
That's a great clip right there, SPD. I mean, you're right on the money, man. If you could be any pro wrestler if you grew up, I would want to be Luchasaurus. You doing good.
I want a green tongue,
bro. You get a green tongue with that hair. You could pull it off, man. I like it. I like it. No, dude. Honest to God, I was so impressed by. I just was like, man, I wish I got to see Silver and Reynolds more often. They're just so good. They're funny. Obviously, they're so funny. But I love how fluid their offense is together. I just think that those two guys work together so well. No matter what was going on, I know it was chaotic. Jericho was more focused on what kind of gum Luchasaurus was chewing at times. Because honestly, it was it was madness. The ring there was so much going on.
There was.
But I just thought that the pinball nature. That's the only way I can describe it. Is just the pinball nature of John Silver. Whenever I get a chance to see this dude, it just feels like he's just going a million miles. Like he's like the Tasmanian devil. I love it. I love his offense. He's a real highlight when we get a chance, and no wonder why you were so happy, because it was really just like pure mark out. It's just pure joy. There was no negativity in this match at all. Just two great babyface tag teams having a match that, while not technically the most sound match. Now again, I love FTR, so there were moments where I was cringing with like, can we please tag? Can we just please respect the tag team format somewhat? But honestly, it was. Oh, hey, that's awesome. Johnny Hungy is the man. He's a really cool dude. And we had some beers with him at All Out Weekend. Really cool dude. But I love the respecting of tradition. So that said, even I was able to sit on the couch and just like not care and just enjoy the show. Sure. Because these two teams were just going like flips and stunners and suplexes and kicks to the head, chokes, just crazy offense. And it's just fun to watch those matches sometimes. Maybe not the greatest ring psychology that you'll ever see, but just fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes wrestling just needs to be fun. And this main event was very, very fun.
You're right. And there didn't have to be any build to it, but it was a match that was well executed. And like you said, fun, high energy. And it gave us a good way to end on a high note of a night. Friday night shows are a different vibe than Dynamite. This wouldn't main event Dynamite. This could have been an opener for Dynamite. Main eventing Rampage is a different story.
Opener on Dynamite is a big deal, though.
You're right. Opener on Dynamite is almost better than a main event.
You always call for the best matches to go on first.
But this could have been to heat up the crowd. You would have had the crowd ready to roll for the rest of the night with this one to start it. One of the other, speaking of, the recruitment specialist, that one moment where Silver had Jungle Boy suplex outside and then Reynolds comes through the ropes to the tope suicida, like that was a sweet moment too, man. I was like, that was something I have not seen from those guys either. So both teams were delivering us some fresh, innovative offense that we have not seen out of them, of their typical, highlight reel stuff. And so really impressed by it. And even though it didn't lead to there, wasn't a build or there isn't anything afterwards, I think it was yes, leaving happy, going into the weekend, happy with Dynamite Television, knowing what's in store for this week's Dynamite. So many jam-packed matches. You mentioned FTR. Like, I would like to see FTR versus the recruitment specialists. You have that.
That'd be a good match.
Both guys have really, teams have great
combo
chemistry.
Offense. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that would be a nice pairing as well. Keep pushing the recruitment specialists because we know how good they are together. Other matches on Dynamite coming up. The House of Black versus Varsity Blondes, the tag team debut. Thank you for putting that in the comments on the chat.
What did I tell you, SPD? This was going to be the year of the tag team revival, because
we're seeing it already.
They took a back seat for a while, though. The women's division surged in the spring, summer, and fall, winter of last year. I felt like the tag division really took a back seat a little bit and allowed the women's division to really come to the surface. And now I think the tag division is going to start stealing the spotlight again in 2022. I think this is going to be a big, big year for a guy like me who loves tag team wrestling.
That's right. Tag team wrestling is back.
Yeah, so, baby.
What match are you looking forward to most on Dynamite? Like I mentioned, the FTR versus Lee Johnson and Anderson, House of Black versus Varsity Blondes, CM Punk versus Shawn Spears, D versus Sky Blue, which we're really big fans of Sky Blue, but it's just another showcase of being able to see D, and the intergender match. And if I missed one, I'm sorry. Please correct me in the chat.
Intergender match, you get the DMD and Adam Cole.
Baby.
A lot of star power there. I am really excited to see the House of Black debut against Varsity Blondes, especially because I like the Varsity Blondes a lot. I like what we're seeing from those kids. I like the energy.
Unfortunately, I think they're going to be a victim of the Black that's going to happen pretty quick.
You think it's going to be kind of just a bloodbath? I don't know. I don't think so.
I want to see them show out because both Griff and Pillman at least got some decent offense versus Malachi. So I would welcome both bookings. I would be a little bummed out if it was kind of like a tonal.
I think the Varsity Blondes deserve more than that.
And you're right. I agree.
Now, again, I understand them wanting to send a message, and I think they did loud and clear on Wednesday. Brody King is capable of violence and just destroying people. I just think that could be. I don't know. I think they should get more offense in, and I think that Brody is actually best. Looking back on some of his stuff this week, trying to get hyped for his debut. And after Malachi told us at All Out, I did, I've tried to get more into, he mentioned specifically Brody being his first recruit. I think that, Cinnamon Girl.
We can have a whole conversation. Gave a wild card to Crayfish because, there you go, wearing that. You need to put tape over his eyes.
I should put tape right there. It looks like I'm covering up my nipples though. So
because he lost his sight, SITE.
Yeah. He lost his sight. That would be an amazing addition. But Brody King, getting back to my point, is actually sometimes he's best when he he's taking on a lot of offense. He's actually one of those big men who gets stronger and stronger the more he absorbs fight. So,
right.
But I understand where you're coming from. Other than that match, Cinnamon Girl threw this one out here, and if you couldn't tell by our conversation about Shawn Spears' segment earlier, I think Shawn Spears set the table for this match with intensity.
He put the chairs out.
I really liked how Spears got the spotlight on that match in a way that, Punk's undefeated. We all know that Punk's, when he loses, it's going to probably be not Shawn Spears. But I like how Shawn Spears, I think Shawn Spears really was able to command a spotlight on this match and put some stakes on it to make it feel like, all right, Spears, win or lose, Spears is going in there to send a message. And when a guy has that kind of focus, when a guy has that kind of fire in his belly, the match is usually going to be really good. You know what I mean? I think that Punk and Spears are going to put on a good wrestling match. I think that Spears is focused and ready to go. He wants this one, and I think he's going to bring everything he's got, given how big the stage is, and especially after the trash he talked about Wardlow in this one too, that promo. So I think that Spears is going to bring it in that match, and that one's going to definitely deliver.
I think I'm most intrigued about the Spears CM Punk because of just the storyline, not necessarily just the match, but just everything that revolves around it. And so what the next step is going to be towards the Wardlow turn. So I'm very anxious to see where that goes. Overall match wise, man, it's hard to say. I'm excited for both tag matches for sure, but I really can't wait to see where it goes from there. And also I'm really excited.
Are you blind though? Can you see? I really love Cinnamon Girl's reference there about.
If
the
Pac were to join the House of Black, that would be an unstoppable faction.
It'd be something else.
It would be cool, like that Malachi Black restores his sight and to see clearly in the House of Black. Like that would be, I would be all for that transition, especially now that Lucha Brothers are got dethroned and Rey Fenix is recovering. Thankfully, hopefully, nice in recovery, and we will see him soon. Healthy Rey Fenix, but that would be, I would be open for that. And then that way, obviously the Andrade stuff is kind of broken free, and Lucha Brothers, when they're back together, they can, elevate themselves back in the tag division where they belong, near at the top, and regain their gold. So that would be a very intriguing and a lot of fun.
I agree. One thing's for sure is that it feels like AEW is really heavily invested in Malachi Black and the House of Black, and
as they should.
It's going to be a big deal, dude. It's going to be a big deal.
As they should. Yep. Yes. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Love chatting with you in the chat. We're going to be back, obviously, for Dynamite Download episode 69. Can't wait to talk about this one. Every week so far, it's like incredible cards that are so diverse. Have all those matches already announced. We have the Cody segment. Cody's going to be back. I'm very intrigued what he's going to have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I know you are. You're going to be dialed in on that one.
That's right. We all are. We're all Team Cody fans.
We are. Now you got me on Team Cody now that he's a heel.
And then also Lance Archer, we got to hear from him. What's up with that? So it's going to be an action-packed, jam-packed Dynamite, as it always is.
Yes, sir.
So thank you guys for joining us for Rampage Rundown. Hope you have a great, safe weekend out there, and look forward to chatting with you in chat and online and on social. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Wednesday night for Dynamite Download, baby.